Good afternoon and welcome to another Code Over Copy episode. In today's episode, we'll be exploring the buzzword, the trend in AI, and one that's been brewing in the open, and that is, what if the most disruptive new AI isn't coming from big tech secret labs, but from open source projects born in these coffee field hackathon? Spoiler, it just might be. So we're talking about how open source AI models and frameworks are powering new generation of autonomous AI agents, and why that combo could upend the closed model giants like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. Some even say those giants have no moat or locked-in advantage because open source, is solving problems faster and more efficiently. So intrigued? Grab your latte and let's jump in. By the way, this isn't just hype. Analysts predict autonomous AI agents could grow into a $70+ billion industry by 2030. So it is a big deal. Let's talk about the first topic of discussion, and this is, how do autonomous AI agents work? First, let's demystify autonomous AI agent. Think of an AI agent as a digital intern that can take a goal and run with it. Instead of you clicking and typing every step, you tell the agent what you want and it figures it out and how to get done, breaks the tasks into steps, calling on tools and other programs and learning from results. It's not just one question equals one answer. It's more like, hey, AI, help me plan a trip. And then the agent searches the flights, compares the prices, and drafts an itinerary all in its own step-by-step. So how's it possible? So under the hood, these agents are usually powered by LLMs, right? Large language models. And basically the brain, like GPT style models, plus a framework that lets them iterate. The agent goes through the loop. It thinks, plans an action, executes it. For example, by calling an API, running code, or doing a web search. Then reads the results and thinks again. This loop continues until the task is done. It sounds like a bit of sci-fi, but don't worry, in practice it's like an AI project manager doing many tasks, one after the other. So how does open source make it a great fit here? Because running an AI agent often means a lot of little AI calls, custom tool integration, and tinkering with agent strategy. Open source models often be run locally or on your own server without strict usage limits, right? Which is perfect for an agent that might make hundreds of decisions. Open frameworks lets you customize the agent's ability and add new tools or tweak how it reasons. In short, autonomous agents love flexible, tweakable brains. And open source gives you exactly that. So imagine open source AI as the indie coffee to big tech's corporate brew. With open source, you get the recipe and you can tweak it to your taste. This is perfect for AI agents, which still experiment new drinks in the AI cafe. Why? Faster iteration. For example, the open source community moves at breakneck speed. Think of developers worldwide as baristas constantly refining the brew. When Meta's Llama model leaked, it sparked explosion of open source innovation almost overnight. Suddenly, anyone could build on a powerful model, and they did. New ideas, improvements, and spin-offs popped up faster than a coffee order at a drive-thru. Open agents benefit from this pace. Issues get fixed faster, features get added more quickly, all by an army of contributors. No closed lab can compete with thousands of devs hacking away in parallel. Next part is customization. So one size rarely fits all. Open source lets you fine tune an AI model on your own data, or modify an agent code or build exact use case. It's like adjusting the grind and brews at the coffee machine. You get the flavor you want. For AI agents, this means you can give them specialized knowledge, say your company's documentation or specific skills. Closed models typically won't let you peek under the hood, let alone change the recipe, right? With open source agents, if you don't like how it was working, you can pop up the hood and tinker with it. Do as you like, And the last part is control and privacy. Open agents run in your terms. You can deploy them on premises or on a private cloud, which means your data stays with you. This is a huge perk if you're worried about sending sensitive info to the third-party APIs. You're basically your own barista here. No corporate middleman, no handling of your order. Plus, you aren't beholden to any API rate limits or pricing changes, right? It's all run locally, and it won't refuse your service because you hit some monthly quota. And I absolutely love that. In short, open source gives autonomous AI agents the freedom to evolve quickly and the flexibility to adapt. It's a recipe for rapid progress. One that is a closed model, inconvenience are finding hard to match. Even a Google engineer admitted that, their big models aren't seen as advantage anymore, because open source alternatives are often faster, more customizable, and more private. So that says a lot. Now on to real world examples that we can come up with that have emerged from this open source movements. These are like specialty brews showing what's possible when you mix AI agents with open platforms. One is, let's say, AutoGPT. Right? AutoGPT, perhaps the most famous early agent to go viral. AutoGPT is an open source project that strings together prompts to GPT or other models to achieve goals autonomously. You give AutoGPT a goal, for example, help me grow my online business, and it will literally spawn a sub-agent that will generate the to-do list. It'll do a web search or even write and execute code to get the jobs done. What's really interesting is that AutoGPT became a sensation on GitHub, racking up 100,000 stars in just a couple of months. It's unprecedented growth that showed that the thirst for open agent tools. AutoGPT quickly rose, proved that developers love the taste of autonomy and they want more. The next one is LangChain, right here. While it's not an agent by itself, LangChain is the open source framework that everyone and their cat is using to build AI agent apps. Think of LangChain as a toolkit or library that makes it easier to chain together different components. LLMs, knowledge bases, APIs, you name it. If an autonomous agent is a robot barista, LangChain is customizable coffee toolkit that gives it memory, tool use, abilities, and logic to decide which tool to use. Developers love it. In fact, hundreds and thousands of developers have been downloading the tools like LangChain and Llama Index to cook up their own AI apps. LangChain basically standardizes the recipe for chaining AI steps, so you don't have to reinvent how your agent thinks every time. The kind of open framework has supercharged experimentation, letting creators focus on agents should do rather than how to build it from scratch. The next one is OpenDevin. And ever wish you had like an AI software on call? Well, OpenDevin is an open source project aiming to replicate Devin, a closed source autonomous coding agent. Essentially, OpenDevin is trying to create an AI that can understand software's tasks, write code, test it, and iterate it, all autonomous. And in its early days, the implication you could say is, hey, AI, build me a simple mobile app for a coffee shop and loyalty program. And it could scaffold projects. The reason this is not just a sci-fi factor. It's just beginning to open source, and any developer can contribute to the improvements to this AI engineer. So if, let's say, OpenDevin figures out how to solve a tough bug, the knowledge can be shared. If it's struggling with a certain kind of task, the community can define it. Or I know it's a far cry from waiting on a corporate AI coding assistant that you have no control over. But code less, make more is the tagline of OpenDevin project, and that captures it well. It's about autonomous code tasking and sharing the know-how openly. Let me see if I can actually share it here with you guys. Let me see. And sorry about this. Let me share my screen. There you go. So here it is. And here is the GitHub repository. It's about 2 years old. Has quite a bit going on with it. 950 stars. And here's their website. This is the closed application, as you can see. And they're charging, $500 a month. Whereas, with OpenDevin, you can just download it. Keep in mind, most, obviously it's not going to be as good as, Devin, but you can train it and it'll learn faster. And sooner or later, I do believe that it will exceed pretty much any software toolkit out there, any IDE that's out there. Especially because a lot of developers are going to contribute to it a lot more. At least that's how I feel. Now, okay, so now let's talk about other agents. We have AutoGPT success, has inspired many variation. There's another one called Baby AGI, right? It was a simplified proof of concept of an AI agent that uses task lists to work towards a goal, and it picked up thousands of stars. And basically, it's been a successful. And then there's also Agent GPT. Agent GPT took the concept of a web browser. It provided a slick UI where you could spin up an agent in one click. no coding needed, and watch it work. In just 9 days from launch, Agent GPT got over 14,000 stars on GitHub. Let's take a look. Actually, quite a bit of Agent GPT. There it is. We're now at 36,000 stars, which is quite remarkable. And you can see the users. I mean, it has hundreds of thousands of users now. People were very eager, clearly, to play with these autonomous AI agent pets. We saw specialized agents, one for the ones that's scheduling meetings to the ones analyzing data. The open source ecosystem is like, pretty much a big cafe of menu of agents. If you can dream of a task, someone might be working on an agent for it. Now, each of these examples underscores a trend. Open source lets these agents evolve out in the open with rapid community-driven improvements. AutoGPT, for example, saw a new feature and fixed this daily when it first blew up. It wasn't perfect. Many found it not very easy. It got stuck often. Kind of like me on a second cup of coffee. But because it was open, people were actively patching its weaknesses. This collective tinkering is sometimes something that closed AI providers just can't match the place. So you're probably wondering, if you're, wondering why devs, startups, enterprise choose open agents. And there's many reasons for that, right? Let's break it down. First is, let's say for the hackers, indie developers, these crowds just live on open source, right? Like someone like me, I love open source. If you're a solo developer or a small team like me, an open model is just amazing to work with without racking up API bills, right? It's the difference between having a personal coffee machine versus buying a $5 latte every time. Over the long run, owning the machine or model is cheaper. And you can brew it to whatever, and whenever, your inspiration strikes. Open agents are also just fun to tinker with. You can pop up open code, add a new tool, integration, tweak it as you like. No need to wait for OpenAI implementation or anything of that sort. So if it's open source, I think people should definitely give it a try. And if you're a small team or just an individual, this is the best way to learn how to code, not just code, but to learn relevant code, and which would be AI. And the next thing would be the startups, right? For startups, why would a startup building products on AI, and the reason is because, control and costs, they're king. Relying solely on a closed API can be risky. What if the API changes prices or terms? What if it goes down in a critical moment? Many startups are hedging bets using open source models and that they can deploy themselves. For example, startup creating an AI coding assistant might fine-tune an open model, like Meta's Llama 2 or Databricks DALL-E on coding tasks. Rather than pay per query to a closed models, this way their own entire stack. They can optimize it for latency, ensure privacy for users, and not worry about bigger company potentially becoming a competitor or cutting off access to it. It's like building your own product on a foundation you control rather than renting someone else's. Startups also love open models, that can be embedded. You can ship an AI feature that runs locally on a user's device or on a client's cloud with some customers who prefers privacy. That's selling a point if your target clients are wary of sending data to third-party servers. The next major clients would be enterprises, right? You might think that big companies would shy away from open source because it's risky, it's new, but many are becoming more and more increasingly interested. And there's a good reason behind that. And it's data privacy, compliance, and customization. A senior AI strategist at Dell recently noted that large public models, especially the closed one by themselves, have little to no value to offer private companies because they can't easily be aligned to a company's priorities, proprietary data and domain. Why pay for a huge black box model that knows nothing about, say, your personal internal procedures or legal legacy code? Instead, companies can take powerful open models and fine-tune them in their own data or integrate it deeply with their knowledge base. And they can do this securely without that data ever leaving the environment. In fact, enterprises are doing pilots where parts of the solution is closed, maybe using OpenAI API for general tasks, but critical pieces are open. For example, using open source LLMs internally for flag sensitive information before sending them to anything remotely what we consider an external API. Open source gives them peace of mind that there's no phone home to a vendor, which, we've all been through that. It also provides consistency. If you control the model, it gives you consistent behaviors, consistent results. And that's exactly what they want. They want consistent results that align with their compliance, their data privacy. And that is very big. Not just, especially in banks, pretty much any institutional. Now, to sum it up, OpenAI agents offer freedom and control, whether you're a scrappy dev or a Fortune 500 company. Combo is appealing. It's like choosing a customizable open kitchen versus catered meal plan. Sure, the catered plan, closed API is convenient, but the open kitchen lets you cook up exactly what you crave and exactly what ingredients you want to put in there. There are risks and limitations where closed models still rhyme, right? Let's go with the first one, performance gap, right? As of now, the very top tier AI models, GPT, Google, are largely closed. Open models like Llama 2, while impressive, often trail a bit in raw capabilities, right? It's a classic open source versus commercial dynamic. Community is catching up fast, but the Incubin started with a lead, billions of dollars, and very smart research team. For certain complex tasks or very highly specialized knowledge, a closed model might still give more accurate, affluent results. For example, OpenAI's models have had extensive fine-tunings, as we all know, and reinforcement learnings from human feedbacks to make them better models. The next one is resource and expertise. Learning a large open source model isn't as simple as flipping a switch. If you want a self-host, a 70 billion parameter model, be prepared for serious hardware, GPU and memory, and ML ops know-how. Big tech abstracts all that. Using API means they handle the scale and infra for some companies, especially smaller ones that use or those without stronger AI engineering teams. That's convenient for API as a service, which outweighs the benefits of going open. It's like, sure, you could roast your own coffee beans at home, but do you have the equipment and time for it consistently? Right? Some will prefer to buy the cup other than make their own. The next one, I think security and responsibility, and open models being open means anyone can use them for good or ill. That's raised concerns that bad actors might use open source AI for things that the closed provide actively prevent, like generating malware or deepfakes. The closed AI companies often have safety layers and content filters. For instance, ChatGPT will refuse certain requests. Open models out in the wild may not, unless the user adds them. Right? So this means organizations using agents, open agents, needed to implement their own safety checks and filters. It's doable. But it's extra work and not foolproof. Additionally, an open agent might more easily go off script and produce undesirable result outputs if not carefully set up. So this, in short, open source agents are powerful and incredibly promising, but they're not a magic silver bullet, right? We still have to be smart in how we use them. It's like having a high-end espresso machine. It can make you amazing coffee if you know what you're doing. If you don't, you might still prefer the reliable barista at the coffee shop. So my final thoughts and takeaways are, open source agents are shaking up things. They represent a shift from AI being something you consume via an API or platform to something you can own, shape, and run on your terms. It's a bit like craft coffee movement. Bring the power back to the people, one brew at a time. The combination of open source models plus clever agent frameworks is enabling developers to invent new autonomous AI applications at a breathtaking pace. It's disruptive to the big closed models, incumbents, because it lowers the barrier to entry into AI. For developers and tech enthusiasts, and this is an exciting time because you can choose who do you want the convenience and power of a closed model or the flexibility and control of an open one. More and more people are saying both, please. The key takeaway is the open source agents aren't just a fad. They will solve real world problems. They will take advantage in speed and iteration of customization. That's why you see everyone from basement hackers, CEOs paying attention. All right, that's a lot to sip on. To boil it down, like a good espresso, open agents might not replace closed AI entirely, but they're absolutely a disruptive force, pushing the whole field forward. And in that process, they're giving us developers, business users, more agency over what an AI can do for us. Thanks for hanging out with me for this caffeinated chat. If you found this insightful, consider sharing an episode with the friends and colleagues. And as always, stay curious. The AI world is evolving faster than a caffeine rush, and we'll be here to make sense of it, one cup at a time.